There is a Buddhist realization, so simple and so profound, that once you see it, life begins to feel alive again. Not because your problems disappear, but because you stop looking at life through the lens that created those problems in the first place. If you've lost your excitement for life, if your days feel repetitive, if you've achieved things you once dreamed of and still feel something is missing, this message is for you. You call it ambition, but what if it is constant dissatisfaction? You call it growth, but what if you have unknowingly trained yourself to reject the present moment? Buddhism teaches that most people are not suffering because life is empty. They suffer because they have lost contact with life itself. In this video, you'll discover why ordinary moments lost their magic, why the future keeps stealing your peace, and the ancient realization that can make you fall in love with your life again in a way most people never experience. The secret contract of dissatisfaction. What if the reason you cannot love your life is not because life is lacking, but because somewhere deep inside you made a silent agreement that nothing is ever enough? Most people never notice this contract. It hides beneath ambition, self-improvement, and even hope. It whispers, "I will allow myself peace after success arrives, after the wound heals, after someone finally understands me, after certainty replaces fear." And while the mind waits for permission to live, life continues moving. A quiet evening passes. A loved one grows older. A simple moment arrives and disappears forever. The tragedy is not suffering itself. The tragedy is postponing aliveness. A wise teaching says, "The prison was never locked, only your conditions were." Sit with that for a moment. How many years have been spent standing at the doorway of life, refusing to enter because reality did not match the picture in your mind? Imagine a traveler preparing for a magnificent feast. Every day, he polishes his cup, believing he must be ready before he can sit at the table. He polishes it for years. He waits for the perfect moment. He waits until he feels worthy. Only at the end of his journey does he discover the feast had been served all around him the entire time. Many people live this way. They spend decades preparing to live instead of living. Right now, wherever you are, look around the room. Notice 3 ordinary objects, perhaps a chair, a cup, a window touched by light. Now imagine never seeing them again. Feel what happens inside you. The ordinary suddenly becomes precious. The overlooked becomes sacred. The life you thought was incomplete begins revealing quiet forms of beauty that were hidden behind expectation. This is one of the deepest realizations in Buddhist philosophy. Most people do not lose their love for life. They lose their ability to see the life that is already here. So ask yourself honestly, what have you been waiting for before allowing yourself peace? Which condition secretly controls your happiness? And if that condition never arrived, would this life still be worthy of your love? The answer to that question may change everything. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My happiness begins from here too, living inside tomorrow." Why does every achievement lose its power faster than expected? The answer is uncomfortable because it challenges one of the deepest assumptions of the human mind. We are taught that fulfillment lives somewhere ahead of us. One more promotion, one more relationship, one more breakthrough, one more version of ourselves. The mind survives by making promises. It whispers softly, "Just one more step," and for a moment we believe it. Then the goal arrives. The promotion comes. The dream becomes reality. The thing that once kept us awake with excitement slowly becomes ordinary. Before long, the mind points toward another horizon. This is not failure. This is the machinery of craving. A Buddhist teaching reminds us that suffering often begins when we mistake the next destination for salvation. The mind becomes obsessed with tomorrow because tomorrow never asks us to fully face today. That is why so many people spend years running toward life while feeling strangely disconnected from it. As one wise reflection says, tomorrow is the favorite hiding place of an unhappy mind. Pause and look closely at your own journey. 5 years ago, there was something you desperately wanted. Perhaps more money, more freedom, more confidence, more recognition. Bring that goal into your awareness. Remember how important it felt. Now notice what happened after it arrived. How quickly did it become normal? How quickly did gratitude fade into expectation? This is the hidden pattern most people never see. It is like chasing sunlight across a valley. No matter how far you walk, the light appears to move further away. The destination keeps changing because the problem was never distance. The problem was believing that peace existed somewhere else. The future is useful for planning, but it becomes dangerous when it becomes a substitute for living. The deepest realization is not that goals are meaningless. Goals can guide your path. The realization is that fulfillment cannot be postponed until they are achieved, because a life spent worshipping tomorrow slowly abandons today. So ask yourself honestly, which future are you currently worshipping? What promise keeps you running? And what if the peace you seek has never been waiting at the end of the journey? What if it has been quietly walking beside you this entire time, waiting for you to finally notice it? 3. The war against reality. Why are two people living through the same event, but suffering in completely different ways? One loses a job and discovers a new path. Another loses the same job and carries bitterness for years. One grows through heartbreak. Another becomes trapped inside it. The event may be similar, the suffering is not. This is one of the most powerful realizations in Buddhist philosophy. Suffering is often not created by what happens. It is created by our argument with what has already happened. Rain falls from the sky. One person gets wet and continues walking. Another spends the entire day angry that the rain arrived. Reality wounded neither of them. Resistance did. The mind has a habit of fighting facts. It keeps replaying the same sentence. This should not be happening. Yet reality remains unchanged. The only thing being exhausted is the person repeating the argument. A wise teaching says pain enters through life. Suffering enters through refusal. Pause for a moment and feel the weight of those words. Much of human exhaustion comes from trying to negotiate with things that have already occurred. The past has spoken. The moment has arrived. Yet the mind continues its protest, hoping frustration can rewrite reality. But frustration has never changed a fact. It has only consumed energy. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. It never complains about the rocks. It never demands that the mountain move. It simply flows around what exists and continues toward the ocean. Only humans try to bend mountains with frustration. Only humans spend years fighting realities that have already taken their place in the landscape of life. Right now, bring to mind something you cannot change. Perhaps it is a loss, a disappointment, a mistake, a circumstance you wish were different. For one slow breath, stop mentally correcting it. Do not approve of it. Do not condemn it. Simply allow it to exist. Notice what happens. Beneath resistance, there is often a quiet space that has been waiting for your attention. A space untouched by the struggle. So, ask yourself honestly, what reality are you currently arguing with? What would remain if resistance disappeared? And how much of your precious life energy is being spent fighting facts instead of living the life that is still here? The answer may reveal that peace begins where the argument ends. 4. The exhaustion of control. What if your greatest source of stress is not uncertainty, but your addiction to controlling uncertainty? Most people spend their lives believing control creates safety. They try to predict every outcome, prevent every mistake, and secure every corner of the future. They tell themselves that if they can just manage life well enough, peace will finally arrive. Yet something strange happens. The tighter they grip life, the more anxious they become, because anxiety is often not born from uncertainty itself. It is born from the impossible task of trying to eliminate uncertainty. Life was never designed to be controlled. It was designed to be participated in. A wise teaching says, "A clenched hand cannot receive." Pause and consider how many moments of your life have been spent trying to force an outcome, trying to make someone understand you, trying to guarantee success, trying to ensure that nothing painful ever happens again. Beneath every attempt to control life, there is usually a hidden fear. The fear of loss, the fear of disappointment, the fear of not being enough if things do not go according to plan. But control is often fear wearing the mask of responsibility, and the mind rarely notices the difference. Imagine holding water in your palm. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes between your fingers. What you hope to preserve is lost because of the pressure itself. Many people treat life this way. They grip relationships too tightly and lose connection. They grip success too tightly and lose joy. They grip certainty too tightly and lose peace. The problem is not caring. The problem is believing that caring requires. Right now, close your fist tightly in your imagination. Feel the tension in the hand. Feel the effort required to keep it closed. Now, slowly release. Notice the softness that enters. Notice the space. Notice the relief. Freedom often enters life through the same doorway, not through controlling more, through loosening the grip, through trusting that not everything must be managed for life to be meaningful. So ask yourself honestly, what are you trying to control that cannot truly be controlled? What fear is hiding beneath that effort? And if you loosened your grip even slightly, would life become more dangerous, or would it finally become lighter? Sometimes, the beginning of peace is not gaining control. It is discovering that you never needed as much of it as you thought. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My happiness begins from here." 5. The forgotten art of flow. If surrender is not weakness, then what is it? Many people hear the word surrender and immediately think of defeat. They imagine giving up, lowering their standards, or accepting a life that falls short of their dreams. But true surrender is something entirely different. Defeat says, "Nothing matters." Flow says, "Everything matters, but I no longer fight reality." One closes the heart, the other opens it. This is a realization many people spend years avoiding. They exhaust themselves trying to force life into a shape it refuses to take. They push against closed doors, replay old disappointments, and demand answers from seasons of life that are still unfolding. Then they wonder why they feel tired. A wise teaching reminds us, the strongest tree bends before the storm. Strength is not always found in resistance. Sometimes strength is found in flexibility. Imagine a field of bamboo standing beneath a violent hurricane. Massive trees crack and fall under the pressure. Yet the bamboo survives, not because it is stronger than the storm, but because it knows when not to resist. There is wisdom hidden in that image. Many of life's greatest lessons arrive disguised as unwanted circumstances. A delay teaches patience, a loss teaches appreciation, a failure teaches humility. Yet, when we spend all our energy resisting the lesson, we miss the gift hidden within it. Pause for a moment and bring your attention to your breath. Notice how the inhale arrives naturally. You do not force it. Notice how the exhale leaves naturally. You do not chase it. Life already understands flow. Nature already understands flow. Only the human mind believes every moment must be controlled. The deeper truth is that peace often arrives when struggle softens. Not because problems disappear, but because the war against them ends. This is not passivity. This is cooperation with reality. This is trusting that life can still teach, guide, and transform you, even when it does not follow your preferred plan. So ask yourself honestly, where are you forcing life right now? What would cooperation look like instead? And are you resisting a lesson that has been patiently waiting to teach you something your struggle cannot? Sometimes the path forward appears the moment you stop pulling against it. 6. The death of wonder. Why do children find magic everywhere while adults find it nowhere? A child can spend 10 minutes watching sunlight dance across a wall. They can become fascinated by a falling leaf, a passing cloud, or the sound of rain against a window. Yet an adult can walk through an entire day surrounded by beauty and remember almost none of it. What changed? It was not life. It was attention. Many people believe joy comes from possessing more success, more status, more experiences. But one of the deepest insights in philosophy is that meaning is not created by possessions, it is created by presence. Attention is what transforms an ordinary moment into a living experience. When attention leaves the present, life slowly turns grey. The morning coffee becomes automatic. The familiar face becomes invisible. The evening sky becomes background scenery. And then people wonder why life feels empty. A wise reflection says, wonder disappears when familiarity replaces presence. Think about that carefully. The problem is not that beauty vanished. The problem is that habit covered it. Imagine discovering a diamond buried beneath years of dust. To someone who sees only the dust, it appears to be a common stone. Yet the diamond never lost its value. It was simply overlooked. Life often works the same way. The things we pray for are frequently the things we stop noticing. Health becomes normal until illness arrives. Time with loved ones becomes ordinary until separation comes. Simple mornings become invisible until they can no longer be experienced. This is how wonder quietly dies, not through loss, through unconsciousness. Right now, imagine holding a cup of tea. Feel its warmth. Notice its weight. Experience it as though you have never touched such a thing before. Something remarkable happens when attention returns. Life begins returning too, not because circumstances changed, because awareness changed. The ordinary starts revealing its hidden depth. The familiar becomes alive again, and the world you thought had lost its magic begins to feel sacred. So ask yourself, honestly, when was the last time you truly noticed life? What beauty have you normalized? And how much of your day is actually lived rather than simply passed through? Perhaps the life you are searching for is hidden inside the moments you have stopped seeing. 7. Success cannot save you. Why do so many successful people still feel empty? It is a question that quietly follows humanity through every generation. People spend years chasing achievement, believing fulfillment waits at the next milestone. They imagine that once they reach the summit, the restlessness inside them will finally disappear. Yet many arrive at the top, carrying the same emptiness they had at the bottom. Because success can solve many problems. It can create opportunities. It can provide comfort. It can earn recognition. But it cannot answer one of the deepest questions of the human heart. Who am I when the applause ends? The world teaches achievement. Wisdom teaches relationship. The world asks what you have accomplished. Wisdom asks whether you have learned how to be present with yourself. A thoughtful saying reminds us, the ladder matters less than the wall it rests against. Many people never stop to examine the wall. They climb faster, work harder, accumulate more, yet they never ask why they are climbing in the first place. And so they reach heights they once dreamed of, only to discover they have arrived somewhere that cannot nourish the soul. Imagine a bird living inside a cage made entirely of gold. The bars shine beautifully. Others admire it. Some even envy it. Yet the bird remains trapped. Many people build lives that look impressive from the outside while feeling disconnected within. Golden cages are still cages. This is one of the great turning points in spiritual understanding. The issue is not success itself. The issue is believing success can tell you who you are. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine every title removed, every accomplishment, every award, every role, every label. What remains? Who remains? At first, the question may feel uncomfortable, but beneath that discomfort is freedom. Because your worth was never created by achievement. Achievement can express your gifts. It cannot create your identity. The deepest peace arrives when success becomes something you do, not something you are. So ask yourself honestly, what are you trying to prove? Who would you be without achievement? And is success serving your life, or has it quietly become the thing defining it? The moment you stop measuring your value by what you accomplish, you begin discovering the part of yourself that never needed proving in the first place. We'd love to hear your thoughts. 8. The courage to let life change. Why does change feel like loss, even when it is necessary? Why do people cling to chapters that have already ended, relationships that have already shifted, or versions of themselves they have already outgrown? The answer is deeply human. Attachment often mistakes permanence for safety. The mind believes that if something remains unchanged, it can finally relax. It wants certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants to believe that what it loves will stay exactly as it is. But life has never made that promise. Not youth, not success, not pain, not failure. Everything moves, everything changes. Everything flows from one season into another. This is not a flaw in life. It is the nature of life itself. A wise reflection says, life suffers when movement is mistaken for betrayal. Pause with those words for a moment. Many of our deepest struggles begin when we interpret change as something personal. We act as though life has turned against us because a chapter is ending. Yet endings are often the very mechanism through which growth enters. Imagine a leaf hanging from a tree in autumn. Its suffering begins only when it forgets it belongs to the season. The leaf is not being punished. The tree is not abandoning it. The season is simply doing what seasons do, and life often works the same way. Many experiences that once felt painful later revealed unexpected gifts. A closed door redirected your path. A loss deepened your wisdom. A difficult chapter taught strengths you never knew existed. At the time, all you could see was the ending. Only later could you see the transformation. Bring to mind a painful season from your own life, perhaps something you never wanted to happen. Now look carefully. What did it teach you? What did it reveal? What strength emerged because of it? You may discover that change carried gifts hidden beneath discomfort. This is where courage begins, not in controlling change, not in avoiding it, but in trusting that movement does not always mean loss. Sometimes it means becoming. So ask yourself honestly, what season are you refusing to leave? What ending are you still resisting? And could the very change you fear be guiding you toward a version of yourself that your current chapter can no longer contain? The moment you stop fighting the season, you begin receiving its wisdom. 9. Returning to the ordinary sacred. What if the life you have been searching for is hidden inside the life you keep overlooking? Many people spend years chasing extraordinary experiences. They believe fulfillment lives somewhere distant, on the other side of success, a different city, a different relationship, or a future version of themselves. Their eyes remain fixed on what is missing, while life quietly unfolds beneath their feet. And that is the final illusion. The belief that what is sacred must also be dramatic. Yet the deepest wisdom teaches the opposite. Existence rarely arrives with fanfare. It arrives softly, a sunrise that asks nothing from you, a conversation that warms a lonely heart, a breath that enters your body without effort, A quiet evening passes unnoticed because the mind is somewhere else. Life whispers before it ever shouts. Most people miss these moments not because they lack beauty, but because attention has been taken away by distraction. The mind becomes obsessed with the next achievement, the next problem, the next destination. Meanwhile, the miracle of being alive waits patiently in the background. Imagine spending your whole life searching for a treasure chest hidden somewhere far away. You travel endlessly, you climb mountains, you cross oceans, only to discover, at the end of the journey, that the treasure was buried beneath the house you kept trying to escape. This is how many people relate to their own lives. They overlook today's blessings while searching for tomorrow's miracles. But the realization that changes everything is this: the ordinary is not ordinary when you are fully present. It becomes sacred. Pause for a moment. Listen to the very next sound around you. Do not label it. Do not judge it. Simply receive it completely. For one brief moment, let nothing else exist. Notice how life instantly becomes more vivid, more intimate, more alive. This is not a technique, it is a return to the reality that has been waiting for your attention all along. So ask yourself honestly, what ordinary miracle have you overlooked today? What beauty is hidden beneath distraction? And are you searching too far away for something that has been quietly beside you this whole time? Perhaps the greatest Buddhist realization is not that you must find a better life. It is that when presence returns, you finally discover the beauty of the life that was already here. 10. The end of psychological waiting. What happens when you stop waiting for life to begin? Something extraordinary happens, not because your circumstances suddenly change, not because every problem disappears, not because the future finally unfolds exactly as you hoped. Something deeper changes. You realize life already began, years ago. The moment you took your first breath, the moment you laughed with someone you loved, the moment you sat quietly beneath a sky you barely noticed. The tragedy is that many people spend their whole lives preparing to live. They treat the present as a waiting room. They tell themselves, when I heal, then I will be happy. When I succeed, then I will relax. When everything finally comes together, then my real life will begin. But that day never arrives. Because the mind keeps moving the finish line. A wise reflection says, the door to life opens only inward. The life you seek cannot be entered through achievement alone. It cannot be unlocked by approval. It cannot be reached by arriving somewhere else. It becomes visible the moment you stop escaping, the moment you are in. Imagine a man spending decades searching for the ocean. He studies maps, he follows distant rumors, he crosses lands and seas, hoping to discover what he seeks. Then, one day, he realizes something astonishing. He has been swimming in the ocean the entire time. Many people live this way, searching for a life they are already inside. Searching for peace while breathing it. Searching for meaning while living it. Pause for a moment. Take one slow breath. Feel the air enter your body. Feel it leave. Notice the simplicity of it. Notice the miracle of it. This is life. Not a rehearsal, not a preparation, not a preview of something greater. This, right here, the sounds around you, the breath within you, the awareness reading these words. This is the life you have been waiting for. So ask yourself honestly, how much life has been postponed? What are you still waiting to begin? And what if this moment, imperfect as it may be, is already enough to be fully lived? The greatest Buddhist realization is not that life becomes beautiful one day. It is that the day you stop asking life to become different before you love it, life reveals the beauty that was hidden from you all along. Bonus: the realization that changes everything. Here is the realization hidden beneath every lesson. The realization that quietly waits beneath dissatisfaction, beneath craving, beneath resistance, beneath fear. Life becomes lovable the moment it stops being treated as a problem to solve. For years, many people believe they are searching for happiness. But if they look carefully, they often discover they have been searching for a version of life that contains no uncertainty, no disappointment, no discomfort, and no change. And because that version of life does not exist, they remain trapped in a quiet struggle with reality. They keep negotiating, they keep postponing, they keep waiting. Waiting for circumstances to improve, waiting for themselves to improve, waiting for permission to finally feel at peace. But peace rarely arrives through negotiation. It arrives through understanding. A wise teaching says, peace begins where argument ends. The moment you stop arguing with this moment, something extraordinary begins to happen. Not because suffering disappears, not because every dream comes true, not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because the war ends, the secret contract ends, the chasing ends, the constant demand that life becomes something else ends, and in that quiet space, a truth reveals itself. Life was never standing on the other side of achievement. It was never hidden inside a future version of you. It was never waiting beyond the next milestone. Life is here. It always was. Imagine the sky on a cloudy day. Many people spend their energy trying to fix the sky. They become frustrated by every passing cloud. Yet the sky was never broken. Only the clouds needed permission to pass. The same is true for the human mind. Your awareness does not need fixing. Your life does not need to become flawless before it can be loved. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Imagine setting down every burden you carry, every expectation, every comparison, every unfinished worry, just for one breath. Notice what remains when struggle is absent. Notice the quiet. Notice the space. Notice the simple fact that you are here. Now ask yourself honestly, what if nothing is missing from this moment? What if peace is closer than your next thought? And can you allow life to be enough today? Because the day you stop asking life to become different before you love it, life reveals the beauty that was hidden from you all along. Quick summary. The secret contract of dissatisfaction. Most people unconsciously make happiness depend on future circumstances. They believe peace will arrive after success, healing, or achievement. This habit creates endless postponement of joy. Life becomes something to prepare for instead of something to live. Living inside tomorrow. The mind constantly promises fulfillment in the future. Every achievement satisfies for a short time before creating a new desire. This cycle keeps people chasing instead of experiencing life. The future becomes an escape from the present moment. The war against reality. Suffering grows when we resist what cannot be changed. Life events are often less painful than our reaction to them. Acceptance does not remove challenges, but it removes unnecessary struggle. Inner peace begins when arguments with reality end. The exhaustion of control. Many people seek safety through control. The more they try to control life, the more anxiety they create. True strength comes from responding wisely, not controlling everything. Freedom grows when the need for certainty becomes weaker. The forgotten art of flow. Flowing with life is not weakness or passivity. It means working with reality instead of fighting it. Resistance drains energy, while acceptance restores it. Life becomes lighter when we move with its natural rhythm. The death of wonder. Life loses its beauty when attention leaves the present. People stop noticing what once inspired awe and gratitude. Presence revives appreciation for ordinary experiences. Wonder returns when awareness returns. Success cannot save you. Achievement can solve practical problems, but not inner emptiness. Many people pursue success hoping it will complete them. Without self-understanding, accomplishments feel temporary. Fulfillment comes from inner alignment, not external validation, the courage to let life change. Everything in life is always changing. Suffering increases when we demand permanence from temporary things. Growth requires accepting endings as part of life's process. Peace appears when change is seen as a teacher rather than a threat. Returning to the ordinary sacred, many people overlook the beauty already present in daily life. They search for extraordinary experiences while ignoring simple blessings. Presence reveals depth in ordinary moments. The life we seek is often hidden in the life we already have. The end of psychological waiting. Many people live as if real life will begin later. They postpone joy, gratitude, and presence for a future moment. The truth is that life is happening now. Freedom begins when we stop treating today as preparation. The realization that changes everything. Life becomes lighter when it is no longer treated as a problem to solve. Peace does not come from perfect circumstances. It comes from ending the inner struggle against reality. When resistance fades, love for life naturally returns. Perhaps the deepest tragedy is not that life is difficult, but that many people spend their whole lives waiting for life to begin. They wait for the right opportunity, the right achievement, the right version of themselves. Yet every day spent waiting is a day that can never be lived again. The Buddha's wisdom points to a truth that is both simple and revolutionary. Suffering grows when we resist the moment, but peace appears when we fully enter it. The life you have been searching for may not be hidden in the future. It may be hidden beneath your resistance to the present. As the saying goes, when you stop chasing the horizon, you discover the sky has always been above you. Zen philosophy teaches that nothing is missing from this moment except your awareness of it. The more you stop asking life to become different, the more clearly you see its quiet beauty. And perhaps the most important question is not whether life is worthy of your love, but whether you are finally willing to meet life exactly as it is. If this wisdom resonated with you, take a moment to like and share this video, and share your thoughts and experiences in the comment section below. For more inspiring Buddhist insights, timeless teachings, and practical guidance on living a peaceful, meaningful life.